All right, here we go. Bottom right, grand finals, the Kung Fu Cup. It's Rogue. Upper left, Team Liquid's Clem. And man, this is an exciting one. Rogue back from the military for about a month and a half now. Every single time I see him play, he looks better. He looks so much better than he did the previous time. And now he's in the grand finals of the Kung Fu Cup. He's playing the master of TVZ himself, Clem. I mean, I'm just saying, I look back at DreamHack Atlanta and the series Clem played, and did he do as well in Dallas? No. Is he coming back from, well, is he finding himself coming back from a home story cup and not on the highest amount of sleep that one might have? Yeah, this is all true. This is absolutely true. On the flip side, it's still Clem's TVZ, and even if, again, this is not DreamHack Atlanta Clem winning the entire tournament Clem, which is that's a hard bar to hit for anyone, even if you are Clem. This is still going to be an excellent test for Rogue to see just how far he's come, because, you know, weeks past, his TVZ, while good, has not been great, has not been maybe on the same level as some of the other matchups that he's been redeveloping. So I am very excited to see exactly how this is going to work out. Of course, we start on side Delta. This is a map that was prior to prior to this current map pool, this was a bad map for Terran. It was a bad map for Terran. It was like Terran's first veto. Or, excuse me, bad map for Zerg. Zerg's first veto. There we go. We got them all swapped around. But this was, again, Zerg's first veto, because it's so wide open. It's not wide open enough. I got myself all turned around. It's not wide open enough. It's got these pushing lanes. It's got these high ground, low ground siege up positions. Kind of hard to crack the third base. It's pretty hard for a Zerg player to play. So, yeah, we're going to veto it. And now, the current map pool is the Terran's first veto. Because, well, maybe the second veto, because, you know, obviously this is the best of 5. And it did find its way through, but it's an earlier veto for the Terran. It's one of the maps that a Zerg wants to keep in the pool. One of the Zerg's first picks. Because it is, compared to the current map pool, so wide open, and you're able to play it a little bit more. So it's funny how these things go. Very funny how these things evolve over time. But for right now, Rogue, well, we don't see too much of anything. Ling speed's on the way. Clem, of course, went for the triple or the double barracks play, 3 Reapers, and Rogue's going to get his third base down. So this is not going to be 4 Reapers. This is not going to be one of these setups where, well, Clem's able to really deny a base. Yeah, he's getting damage done to the queens, certainly, but even with that, yeah, it's not going to get much done. And pullback marker from Clem is really nice. The Reapers get damage done, but again, they're not going to really suffer all that badly. And, well, the game is, in fact, going to go on. Let's see how this thing goes. How is Rogue viewing his TVZ right now? Or more importantly, like, what is Rogue like? 'Cause this is a nice trap here on the Reapers. A couple Lings are going to try to get on top all the way around. And yet Link speed is done, so the time of the Reaper is over. But even still, catching those out is really... And part of that is a mistake from Clem. Ideally, around maybe 325, 320 or so, you pull your Reapers back. You say, okay, Link speed's out soon. I would like to keep my Reapers alive. I want them to be part of my next army. KD8 charges as part of a bio push can actually be really good if you have the APM to go in and drop them down and do that. But they can be really solid. They can be really interesting ideas to effectively make your splits that much more impactful. You can grenade up Banelings and split them apart a little bit and make it so they're not just all crashing into you at once. And that can be a really powerful idea. But we talked about this, or we asked the question, okay, how is Rogue approaching his TVZ? What does he want to do? How is he playing this? And I was like, okay, well, this might be a Ling Bane. He did get Ling speed, but he will get a safety Roach Warren down. And that's been pretty common ever since the most recent Baneling nerf, where they no longer get bonus HP off of Baneling speed. That's just, yeah, Baneling, the tech structure, my head says Baneling Academy, but that's not what it is. The Banelingness, there we go. Once you get that started, yeah, Baneling speed does morph a little bit faster. It does research faster. That's a little bit true, but losing out on 5 HP per Baneling That's a lot of effective HP missing from an army. It does make it a lot harder to fight. So for now, the Rogue, he's got roaches on the way. Lair on the way, of course, from Clem. This was 2 racks into 3 CC. It is still a 2-1-1. That's kind of how this build goes. You get 3 Reapers, then you just start pumping Marines. Stim's done. And getting these Overlords is actually a really nice thing, because what that means is, well, Rogue is not totally supply blocked at the moment. He will be soon, and he's pumping roaches. Remember, roaches are 2 supply. They're pretty cheap. It's very easy to get yourself supply blocked, especially missing out on 1624 supply cap. That is just not really available. So now Rogue is going to find himself maxed out just a little bit. Well, I guess supply block more than maxed out. Queens are going to try to get the medevac down. They're going to knock one of them down. Transfuses are really good, but the leading Queen's off creep, so it's going to go down. Second one dead as well, and now the Lings, the roaches, they filter on forward. I mean, these are going to be more dead Queens, more dead roaches. Nice trade. Oh, never mind. I was going to say that was a really nice trade for Clem. He got 3 or 4 Queens, killed roaches, killed Lings, but I didn't realize quite how low that medevac was. I thought I was looking at the energy bar, because unfortunately this is off YouTube, and yes, we are at 1080p, but bitrate's not as good as I would like. Certainly not on a bigger screen. That being said, Carapace is on the way. Infestation Pit's on the way. No second Evo, though. Not just yet. Well, never mind. It is right now. So, melee upgrades on the way. Roaches are defensive roaches here. Stabilizing roaches. Rogue, he's getting roach speed. He might try to get a little aggressive with this and poke around. But this is all about getting into that extremely quick hive. Infestation Pit's done before 7 minutes. This is the build, or the idea, if not the build, that we saw Cyril use to annihilate Maru multiple times. You go into this, you're playing melee, of course, so you're gonna get that hive, sure, and you're gonna get ultras, and you're getting these melee upgrades, but you're gonna hit before 10 minutes. You're gonna hit before the Terran player is even researching 3-3 realistically. Maybe even before their 2-2 is done, before ghosts are on the way, certainly. And it's just this sledgehammer of Zerg that is very, very hard to deal with. Now, again, for now, Rogue is just posturing. He's got roaches, he's got ravagers, but this is not a heady force. This is not a big thing that he's sitting with. He's not trying to break Clem down and make his life the hardest thing. I mean, he's trying to make his life hard, but he's not trying to break him down. He's not trying to crack this 3rd base. It's just all about buying space, buying time, pinning Clem back at home so the hive can complete, so 1-1 can be done. Baneling speed can be done, so the Ultra Cavern can get started. And anything he can do to make sure that Clem is on his quadrant of the map as long as possible is a really big deal. So Carapace is just about done. 1-1's done for the Terran player. That's a big deal. Having upgrade leads against the Zerg when they're Ling Bane is a really big thing, but Carapace is done now. Of course, that applies to the Roaches, the Ravagers, the Lings, the Banes, everything on the ground, and that's always going to be really nice, but Vipers now on the way. Ultra Cavern now on the way. +2 armor, +1 attack, just about done. You'd love to see Adrenal. Rogue doesn't quite have the gas for it at the moment, but you'd love to see Adrenal get started soon. 2-2's on the way here, right on time with the Terran. And we're looking at this timing is going to be right around 10 minutes. The Ultra Cavern, about halfway done. But this timing is going to be ready right around 10 minutes. All right, now you got game sounds. Sorry about that. The reason I didn't stream on Monday was my entire PC died because there was a lightning strike in it, and the instant shutdown corrupted my OS, and I had to go reinstall everything. So apologies, the settings were not quite there. You should be able to hear things now. You should be well situated to get all the game sounds. Sorry about that. Not used to casting off YouTube VODs, but anyways. Baneler's going to run forward. Nice parasitic bombs over. It's just going to force everything back. It's 2 of them, and Clem's actually not splitting these the best. At the end of the day, it's going to be fine. Probably. Yeah, there was no damage on the medevac beforehand. So 3 HP on a lot of these medevacs. On 3 of these medevacs as they try to find their way back home. But now Clem, this is where it gets a little bit dicey. Ultra chitinous plating about halfway done. 20 Banelings on the way. Spire getting added in eventually. But Rogue is getting ready to swarm. This incredibly powerful timing. He's going to replace it with Ultras behind this. So it's not just this fight. Those Baneling connections are so good to start this off. Now Clem's got a bit of a spread. Now he's in a much better position. Baneling's trying to find their way onto the 4th base as well. Seems like they get damage done. 14 SCVs hit the deck. And yes, Rogue is forced back. He's going to have to retreat. He gets the 4th base. And yes, this army is going to have to retreat back on home. Yes, there are ghosts on the field, but that's an instant remax. 4 ultras on the way. 2-2 just about done. Chitinous plating is done. And whatever the adrenal synthesis or whatever it's called, anabolic synthesis, there we go. Ultra speed on the way as well. Rogue is knocking that 4th base down is such a big deal. Now the Vipers have energy again. The ultras are starting to hit here. 2-2 is done. This is the timing Rogue's been building up for the last 11 minutes of this game, and we're gonna see just how effective it's gonna be. No blinding clouds on the tanks until right now. There's a little bit slow. Even still, Lings get on top of this, get on top of everything, and Clem again takes a pretty horrible trade. He was close to maxed out, now he's not. And 55 more Lings on the way. Rogue has every... Okay, he's missing 2 base. He's missing like 1 base. But he's got almost every base he can expect to have on the map. Yes, there are tanks. Yes, there are ghosts. But it's 162 supply. Clem's down about 20 army supply. And as these 2 ultras pop, as the Banelings morph here, we're going to see Rogue just hit again. And as he's keeping the Terran player off guard. Just this tempo move. This staggered setup where Clem keeps going and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna defend, and he just keeps taking a little bit too much damage, so that makes the follow-up a little bit harder, and a little bit harder. His bases are gonna get canceled. Blinding clouds on top of that tank. Parasitic bomb on the medevac just to knock it down to make it hard to fight. By the way, ultras on the right side. 4 ultra hit squad, which given the state of the upgrades here is really hard for Clem to deal with. He gets on top of the tanks, gets on top of whatever he can find, and you know, at the end of the day, it does seem like, again, Clem, he forces his opponent back. And, you know, in fairness, Rogue is all in on this. He didn't have a full remax this time. There's no 3-3 on the way. There's no adrenal that has been made, I don't think. There's no follow-up to this. This is just, he senses opportunity. He wants to win right now, and damn it, he's going to try. So tanks are going to go down. Ghosts are going to go down once again. And getting on top of these orbitals is really nice. But despite this setup, despite how many bases Rogue has, because he's got a lot, he's not building this bank. He's just going remaxing, sledgehammering. The resources lost trade, if we ever going to see it, is going to be pretty heavily in Clem's favor. But again, this is tempo, this is map control. This is just never giving Clem a moment to breathe. His Lings are going to try to move on. Once again, they get stuck on the orbitals just slightly, but they're going to kill the tanks at the end of the day. And this planetary, generally you say, well, you know, planetaries against a bunch of banelings, it's not all that great. They're going to get crushed down. Planetary is holding its own. Planetary is doing a lot of work here to make this fight hard, but Rogue just gets on top of the army, so that's fine. I'm going to kill Clem. Game 1 goes the way of Rogue. And now it's game 2. And of course, if you like this and you want to see more Starcraft, more Stormgate, maybe more Super 5, that's a different genre, but, you know, people the videos seem to get decent traction. Make sure to go sub to this channel. Make sure to go follow me on Twitch when I go live, because that really does help out quite a bit, as I am so excited for this game too. Not just because game 1 was pretty cool. It's awesome to see Rogue doing winning things, but more importantly, because I've heard rumors of this second game. I haven't seen these games just yet. I don't know a ton about it, but I just saw a lot of people saying, hey. And yes, granted, Clem is sleep deprived, back from home story cup, sure, fine. All the excuses, valid, 100%. But I heard people saying, man, this game 2 from Clem and Rogue is something special. So I'm not trying to bias y'all and say, hey, this game is good regardless of what you say. But I am saying that I've heard this game is, this individual map, Amphion, is very, very good. So what that means is I am very excited to go explore it with the rest of y'all as we see what happens here. A little bit of interesting barracks positioning coming out of Clem. He's not doing anything extra weird in terms of double barracks in the wall or something like that. Instead, he's just putting it on the Reaper cliff. He's getting it as close to the rally point as possible, and then, well, we're gonna go from there. So that, you know, it just means the Reaper gets there a little bit faster. It's okay. Is fine. So, game 1, we saw the 2 Rax Reaper play. Rogue went for defensive roaches, 10-minute ultras, 11-minute ultra speed effectively, and just tried to end the game on that time. And he did. He did enough damage to Clem. Clem wasn't ready. It didn't work out. But now the Reaper in game 2, of course, is a bit of a weird path. And he, okay, just barely gets it out. It looked like he wasn't enough money. Oh, he does get a drone. Okay. Clem cross server on like 2 hours of sleep or whatever it is. Still getting, oh, well, never mind. I'm sitting here, I'm like, wow, Clem cross server doing real good work, getting a drone, and then he loses the Reaper immediately. So it's like, yeah, you win some, you definitely lose some. That is true. So Clem loses what he doesn't want to lose there, loses a lot of map control. Adding that singular Reaper into your Hellion harass later on can also be really nice. But also because he put this barracks at this position to make sure he could rally as quick as possible, there's no wall in the main base or the natural. So 5 lings are going to show up into the main base. Ideally, they get the Marine that makes them, that gives them a lot longer just existence to get more damage done. But as it stands, they move in, they force an SCV pull. That's a little bit of damage there, and they back up. They say, this is fine. We're good. We are okay. We're going to back up. We got a full scout. We know the tech is a Clem. One of the observers in the game puts an exclamation mark down. Not totally sure what's up with that one, but hey, we're good. We're good to go. So, again, well, I was going to say, again, we see Clem doing something pretty standard, but Rogue, this is 2-base. Is Rogue going 2-base mutas? Is that what's happening here? I really like mutas on this map, to be clear. I think it's it's going to be 2-base mutas. We're seeing gas get taken. I really do like mutas on this map. I think they are extremely good because you have the island on the left side. It gives you this ability to go kind of dance around. It also means it keeps you pretty safe from Terran aggression. So both sides of it, very good in terms of how you want to play mutas. And for now, there we go. Quad gas going down. 3rd base about halfway done. Spire's now getting started. Rogue's going for 2-base mutas, which is a strat we do not see all that often, but against what is assumedly, and we can see at the very least, that this is 3 orbital 1-on-1 type of play. I mean, yes, there's a second barracks going down, sure, but going for this setup, right, where you go 1-1-1, 3rd base, 2nd rack, stim's not going to be done for another minute or so. This is the type of build you want to be running into. It's not a guaranteed win, absolutely not, but it's the type of build you want to be going into as a muta player, because it means that the Terran, the bio, this anti-air is, first of all, the Marines are, in this case, because this is a 2 racks setup, this is a TY 2-1-1, 3-base 2-1-1. So I guess maybe not quite as ideal as if this was just a 1-1-1 3-base type of setup. But again, the Marines, the stim is not going to be done before your mutas pop. They're going to be done shortly afterwards, but it does give you this window to get a bunch of mutas on the map and go for that one. Rogue banking enough money for 8 mutas right now, and now the question, because of this timing, he's gonna have like, oh, is he gonna see this? He doesn't see it. The lings don't scout the double drop, but I was gonna say, so okay, now 8 meters are on the way, and Rogue is droning up behind this. Will he be able to defend this? Stim is done in 5 seconds. The meters are going to be out by then, but there's so much droning for Rogue. There is nothing here to defend. There's absolutely nothing here to defend what's happening. Meters are going to pop out, sure, but they can't fight. This stim's done. They're going to try to dive on top, and they're going to get it all gunned down. A bunch of meters dying. Your drones are dying. Lings on the surround are popping in enough time to make this okay. But that was 3 dead mutas. That's 300 gas down the drain, and 8 mutas are kind of important. 8 mutas allow you to go in one shot. Well, actually, I think it's 6 mutas that one shot. 8 mutas make the splash damage that much more impactful. But regardless, Rogue losing these mutas doesn't really have that bursty economic damage potential that he would otherwise like to see. So right now, playing around, trying to get whatever value he can. And right now, that means Marines. That means, oh, this muta doesn't want to go. Oh, no, Rogue loses another muta. Losing 4 mutas this early on in this setup, when you cut your economy to get this up. You went 2-base muta. Losing the mutas like this feels real bad. And yeah, they're going to post up on this 3rd base. Yeah. The bio's not in enough numbers. 16 Marines went down on the drop, sure. But this is not enough mutas to really threaten anything yet. But again, there are more mutas on the way. Evo chambers are on the way. Oh, well, no. Okay, muta stayed alive. Now the flock's starting to get a little scary. I thought another muta went down. But now the flock is starting to get that much scarier. And now we're at, like, what is this? 10, 12, 13 mutas. +1 attacks just about done. And there's a terrifying time in that Clem's going to hit pretty soon. His 1-1's done. Combat shields are done. If he can move across the map with this, that doesn't feel good. But Rogue doesn't want to let him move across the map. He's got this flock of mutas. His entire goal in life right now is to delay this move out as much as possible. So he's going to dive on top of the missile turret. That's great. But more importantly, he's going to get on top of these add-ons or reactors falling. Less medevacs. Maybe he can get the add-ons on. He can get the reactors on the barracks as well. And because of this Sim City, because of how this is set up, the mutas can play on the other side of the mineral wall and actually be really nice. Now diving into the main base, this missile turret's going to get mass repaired, and it will force Rogue back, I think. So instead, he's just going to get as many SCVs as possible. 16 SCVs go down, not from the mutas, but from the distraction, because Clem was focusing the main base, and a bunch of banelings ran into that third base. So now Rogue, tons of economic damage here. His upgrades aren't done. They're not. And that's a problem. That will always be a problem. But 28 banelings are going to try to solve that. So, again, scary motion out, scary timing out of Rogue. The banelings die so quickly without this 1-1. But the mutas have their +1 attack, +2's on the way. And I got to say, I'm a little surprised Rogue's not trying to dive on top of these tanks. Now there are more Marines there, so it's not as possible as it once was. But there was a moment where those tanks were just woefully undefended. Although, I guess the creep spread had been removed, so there wasn't really much there. Now Rogue tries to get on top of this. Right now, 4 tanks are going to be the defense here. Banelings can make really good connections again. Clem's going to split back up, but the tanks are dead. Rogue can back up. He can be happy about it. More banelings are morphing. Well, I said he can be happy about it, but he only has 3 banelings that I see on the map right now. That's not enough to defend against this. +1 Carapace is done. +1 attacks on the way. Mutas are going to have to fight this. Clem, he lost the tanks, but the bio's here, and he's going to try to stim on through every single thing. Queens are going to go down. This 4th base just seems destined to die. There are not enough banelings on the field. And yeah, this is going to be a lot of damage here. Mutas, they're going to get a medevac. That's something. But 17 drones hit the deck. This 4th base is dead. No 2-2 on the way for Rogue. +2 attack for the mutas, sure, but no 2-2 done. No 2-2 even on the way for this Sling Banes. That means that just the value of this army is going to continuously get worse and worse over time as these mutas are just scrapping to stay alive. And it seems like there's just enough at the end of the day. With +2, with the Lings down below just to be just obnoxious enough, it seems like Rogue holds on. He's got a bottom right base. He was able to rebuild that in all the madness. He's on 60 drones. Clem's only on 46 workers. He was kind of all in on that push. Wasn't really rebuilding any SCVs for the majority of that push. So as Rogue slams this back home, he senses some snowballing opportunity. Another tank will go down. But this muta flock is just not big. So many of these mutas have gone down. Rogue's building more mutas, building more Lings. He thought he might have been able to snowball it all the way, and he does a lot. But not enough. He will be forced back here, and now +3 attacks on the way. Rogue only on 1-1. 2-2 only just now getting started. That's a nice catch from the mutas, though, on the Marines. These +2 mutas, not enough numbers to burst the Marines as they drop, so they're going to stay alive. But now that we sit here, Clem's built a couple SCVs, but really he has cut workers for this. He's relying on mules right now, and he's probably going to see his main base float over at a certain point. He's building like an SCV here, an SCV there as he has the money, but not really more than that, right? Again, he's not even getting +3 armor. It's all about, well, now he is, but it's all about the mineral income right now, all about building this big marine ball to try to break down this this mutiling bane type of setup. And this, by the way, this is my favorite StarCraft. This is what got me, I mean, granted, the timings are obviously a little bit different, and the way it works is a little bit different, but mutiling bane versus bio, generally biomine, in this case it's biotank, versus just heavy parade push bio. This is peak StarCraft, and the fact that we're seeing it in 2024 at such a high level and such an entertaining game, Fantastic. So Clem's going to try to move across the map once again. Rogue sharking around. He wants those tanks. He wants undefended Marines. Every single supply he can knock off the map is a big deal as he looks to buy the time. His 2-2 is going to be done soon. It's not here yet. Give him 30 seconds. Give him 30 seconds. It's going to be done. These Marines are, yeah, that's a rough task force. They're going to go down. Tank won't fall, but this is so many mutas. They got +2. Carapace is on the way. They're looking for that reinforcement. They're looking for as many reinforcements as possible. And Rogue, by the way, this 5th base on the left side, it's not where Clem's pushing. He's trying to push where the 4th base once was, but there's nothing there. So this setup that Clem has kind of tucked against the right side cliff is not really giving him a ton. Now, that rock setup would be terrifying if Clem took advantage. Sieging up all the tanks against that, running across, that would be a terrifying sieged up position. And I gotta say, I'm a little surprised to see Rogue not trying to go and knock that down. Not only because if Clem sieges that up, I don't know how Rogue keeps the base, but also he wants that attack path. That gives him a full surround. That makes life a lot easier for him. So I'm very surprised to see him not knocking those rocks down. And for now, the run by didn't get a lot done either. There's enough defensive setup for Clem at the moment. And now the mutas, hey, they're going to find a they're not going to find a medevac. I thought they were. They're going to get on top of a bunch of Marines instead. 3-2 on the map here for Clem. Rogue, he's got 2-2. His hive is very far away. And this is that traditional timing. Mutiling Bane versus Bio, where they get to 3-3 and all of a sudden it's very hard to fight. But now Rogue's gonna run through the choke trying to get on top of what he can. The Banelings are getting annihilated here, and the splits from Clem are so very good. And I can only sit here and imagine what had happened if he took the rocks down. What would have happened if those rocks had died and Rogue attacked from one more angle, 2 more angles, full 360 surround? I don't think Clem wins at all. Even still, losing those tanks is impactful in this setup. It's all I think it's only single factory. So knocking those tanks down, knocking down that big splash damage is really important. Clem, though, he's on 53 workers again. He's developing his economy that much more. He is on 4 bases. And he is developing his tech into this anti-mutiling Bane just a little bit more. So Thors are on the way. Drilling Claws on the way. We're going to see 1 missile turret go down. The rest of it, well, the Marines are going to show up. So enough time has been bought. But Drilling Claws on the way as well. So Biomine. We're getting a little bit closer to that style instead of this biotank type of setup. Mech armor on the way as well. Just again, to work for the medevacs and the eventual widow mines and everything else. Pretty dang important. And Rogue again is going to be back against the ropes here. This is kind of the last base that he can he's realistically going to be happy with taking for a while now. Widow mines are part of this army. Lings are going to run forward. The drags are nice. The tank gets shut down. And that's going to be all that Rogue wants to take. Shut down the tank. Back up. This is fine. And this fight gets a lot more complicated once widow mines hit the field. Just significantly more complicated. Even if mines have been nerfed, the radius is not as big. You can it's a lot easier to see where the shots are going to go, so you can split against it a little bit easier. Even still, it's not easy to it does make this fight a lot more complicated. So Rogue, oh, that's a nice Bailey connection. That's a really nice Bailey connection. But Clem continues to push forward with a small amount of his force. Tons of bio, tons of tanks, widow mines, off creep, looking for Rogue to do exactly what he's going to do right now, which is the full engage. Couple Lings on forward, trying to bait out the widow mines. One's going to get baited out, other one's just not in a good position. Tank falls down once again. And now Rogue's got Carapace on the way. Well, first of all, he's got these are battle mutas. These are 2-2 battle mutas. But he's got Carapace on the way for the Lings and the Banelings as well. Banelings are trying to get morphed on the front line. That's going to be really hard as this single Thor gets not targeted down, actually. And the mutas are very clumped. Oh, God, that's a lot of damage. 3 Thors, 1 shot, but we're not there right now. Now the Thor is dead. Banelings make really good connections, and Clem is going to get forced back once again. Back against the wall time and time again. Rogue is defending. It's not easy. And he does lose the base for it, but I keep saying it looks like he breaks the army back, but this parade push out of Clem, taking a page out of Innovation's book, is working. It seems like every time, even when he's broken backwards, there's just enough there to make sure that, yeah, it's actually not all that bad. So Rogue needs another base. Clem scans out the left side with this very... Looks like... I don't know whether he just... Clem stimmed them all down 4 times or... a Baneling hit, but it's a very... very low HP set of Marines. Yeah, you sneeze on them and they fall over. But now ultras are on the field. Chitinous plating's just about done. Carapace is just about done. Attack upgrade's not there, sure, but if you turn these into five armor ultras, all of a sudden, oh, these Widow Mines. Oh, just the random Widow Mines. The most painful thing that a Zerg player can experience. The random Widow Mines on the map. But these, I mean, 2/2 mutas, they just shred. So the medevacs are all going to go down. Everything inside of them goes down. And the wild thing about this, because this has been such a low eco game from Clem, he's only on 56 workers. He's only on 4 bases. Well, he's got 5 bases now, excuse me. But his economy is not incredible. Because of that, he's in this setup right now where he can't really afford ghosts. This ultimate timeout of you hit 10 ghosts and they snipe down all the mutas. They 2-shot him, or they 3-shot him, whatever it is. They annihilate with their attack upgrade as well. They destroy mutas with their attack upgrade as well. That ultimate timing's not really there. So these ultras, these mutas are going to be a lot more impactful than they would otherwise be. Yeah, these are 5 armor ultras, but this is still 3/3 bio with marauders, and sacrificing that number of ultras for no gain doesn't really make a lot of sense there. That's not really the play. So a couple Lings looking for that run by. Rogue would love to get +3 attack, because that applies to Banelings, Lings, and Ultras, but if you got to choose one at this point, I'd love to see... Maybe Adrenal's been researched and I haven't seen it, but I'd love to see Adrenal at this point. That really does unlock these Lings to be, well, much more impactful than they would otherwise be at this point. Just you put them on run-bys. The force... It's such a force multiplier. It's effectively worth an additional +3 attack. And for now, Lings are going to try to move on. Man, attacking into this Terran feels so hard. Banelings are going to get shut down. They're not with the army, and this is just not a good fight for Rogue whatsoever. The Concave's there. Yes, Widow Mines against Ultras. Not maybe the best, because, well, Ultras are 450 HP. Ultras have a lot of HP, and Widow Mines do flat damage. But they're also spell damage. They cut through the 5 armor. It's kind of a... You win some, you lose some on that one. But Clem has his 5 bases. Rogue also on 5 bases. 6 base on the way right side. There's a little bit of creep denying... sorry, excuse me, 7th base from Rogue. A little bit of creep denying the perspective 6 base from Clem. Upper right side. That's annoying, but you can handle that whenever you want. I mean, I'm going to assume that there will be eventually... I'm going to assume that there is going to eventually be a couple Lingsbird there or something. But for right now, this is a nice run by from Rogue. Finally getting some economic damage done on, I guess we call this the 5th base, but this was the main base floating on over. So even then, you know, it's not this crazy mule count. 15 SCVs go down. Ultras get like 1 or 2 really good Kaiser Blade swipes, and 18 SCVs are going to hit the deck. But again, Rogue, his economy is okay, but not a lot of gas available. His supplies, not insane. He's only on 69 workers. These players have been going at it at hammer and tongs for the last 21 minutes. And honestly, I don't know who's in the lead right now. It feels like I put a lot of faith in late game Terran. So I'm going to say, yeah, it's probably Clem. Right? A lot of faith in late game Terran. But even still, these players are going hammer and tongs. Big 4 or 5 medevac drop into the main base. Lings are gonna, yeah, this is gonna get handled for the most part. Looks like the target fire was attempting to be the spawning pool, but yeah, this is not gonna work out. Yes, you can boost away, but mutas are here to play, and they're gonna shoot down as much as possible, trying to rely on the splash damage to knock the medevacs down. Instead, everything gets unloaded. And the mutas, some of them will die, but just because you're catching these on the unload, there's not enough Marines right there. Even still, though, Clem recognizing the fact that, okay, everything's in the main base. I can rotate right side. I can knock this extra base down. This base that Rogue's been trying to keep up and find value from for the last 10 minutes or so continues to not be allowed. So that's going to happen, but on the rejoinder here, a lot of this army is going to get caught by these Lings and these Banes that, yes, are they the highest upgrade things ever? No. But there's enough of them and not enough of the Terran bio that it means that for now, this is going to get handled. And Clem takes the forward base. And he's turning it into an orbital too. It says a lot about the economic setup where this is pure Lingbane Muta. You generally would think... Widow Mines being so annoying here, denying the extra base. Denying this base from happening. But again, you would think, given the setup here, that it would be a planetary, because there's not a lot of... It's not like you're playing against lurkers or something. Planetary... Oh, Widow Mines on the... Hey, there we go. On the worker line's pretty nice. But you would think that, again, because... well, planetaries do make you last a little bit longer, that given the setup here, you go for that. Losing SCVs, given how few of them you have and how small your economy is probably worse. And, you know, planetaries defend against the Ling run by really nicely. So finally, we are 23 minutes in, and +3 attack is finally on the way. Clem finally in this position on 37 drones. He's like, okay, I can squeeze a couple. I can squeeze a couple ghosts out. Not a ton, but maybe enough to handle these ultras. Hey man, this is such a game. 37 workers to 52, 24 minutes in. No one can really afford to rebuild workers at this point. They're just crunching out as much army as possible to try to just make sure you don't die. An SCV here, a drone there getting remade, but really not a lot available as this drop's going to get handled. So that's going to be about 15 supply down the drain. Trying to trade as much as possible, maybe knocking a queen or maybe knocking a Muta down or two. But this is the big fight. This is where it gets a little bit scary right now. Big attack up the gullet once again through this bottom side. That's a lot harder. It's significantly harder for Rogue to attack into. Because, yeah, he's knocked those rocks down. We were talking about 15 minutes ago. He has knocked the rocks down. But there's another set that protects Clem's extra base, and that makes it pretty hard to go and attack, get a full, really nice engage into this Terran bio. It's just not really a thing. So we're going to see a couple Lings run forward, trigger off all the Widow Mines, and, well, we're going to have to see how this goes. For now, Clem, this attacking angle is really hard. It's extremely difficult to go engage into. And the splits are really nice on the Mutas for now. As there's a drop somewhere. I'm not really sure where it went, but Lings are going to go for that run by. +3 attacks now done. Adrenal's done pretty soon. But this fight on the other side is not working out well for Rogue whatsoever. Now he's going to try to go for the surround. How are the Widow Mine shots? They're really good. They're so good, but even still seems like Rogue fights this back for the time being. But I mean, man, look at the supply. It's a 40 army supply lead for Clem right now, but a lot of the bio's not in the fight, and it's a lot of Marines. They're not really there. They're gonna force Rogue's gonna take as good a fight as possible as he's forced back, and most importantly, this Widow Mine setup is gone. Clem, for the moment here, at an incredible window, was up 40 supply. I mean, he's still up 40 supply actually, but it seems like the supply, it felt like the supply gap was a little bit higher. Even still, Clem attacking into this left side base. He does seem like he's going to take it down from Rogue, but Rogue is killing more. It's 21 SCVs remain. Rogue's killed 19 workers. And these Mutas, these Lings are going to try to get even more so. 26 minutes in, and these players are just going sledgehammers against each other. The Thors are going to go down. These Mutas and these Lings are doing so much here. Great identification from Rogue to realize that, yes, the Muta count is not super high, but these two Mutas against small numbers of bio, there was not enough Marines. There were not enough Marines in that force to really do anything. And these 6 Mutas are going to have to be the MVPs for a while because the supplies have equalized once again. Now, army supply in Clem's favor, absolutely, but the economy not in Clem's favor. Well, he's got mules, so technically he's mining a lot more, but that's temporary. He's got 1 mining, well, I guess 2 mining bases. You know, I said the economy's not great because of the workers, but realistically, I look at this and Rogue has a base and a half. And yeah, it's a hybrid. One of these is a hybrid base that does have a little bit of gold, but it's not a lot. The income is not quite as much of a lie. It's not quite as much of a lie as we otherwise thought it was going to be. Man, so finally the rocks are going to go down, and this actually might be the death blow right now. If Clem doesn't respond to this, that's 10 STVs going down. I think this base might even die. The mutas are on top. They don't have +3, but man, these adrenalings are so valuable right now in these low army supply, low eco setups. Every supply is so impactful. So if your adrenalings can do so much, can knock down 18 STVs that quickly, and again be this force multiplier, you send off a little and force a much heavier commitment from Clem. That's a really big deal. I know Clem's going to try to attack into this, but there's no splash here. Widowmines, they're going to have to burrow up now. The drag is really nice. Friendly fire not going to be good enough, though. It's not really going to be dragged in the army. Even still, Mutas trying to get on top of these medevacs as well as they can. Liberators joining the fray just for anything that can be found here, any value that can be found. But I think Clem is kind of dead. Yes, he's got a good army supply, but a lot of that, 20, that's in medevacs. That's not fighting. This base is dead on the right side. There's not a lot of mining on the north side base. Clem literally has about a half of it. He's not mining whatsoever. And it does feel like at this point, Clem's kind of dead in this game. And I know I've said this before, Alcyone versus Cyril. It felt like Clem was dead, and he found the miracle. He found just the most insane comeback possible, but he doesn't have this ghost cohort. And this setup from Rogue is a lot more punishing, I guess, against this. Well, even as I say that, Rogue's economy is pretty horrible too. So anyway, but this army from Clem doesn't feel like it's set up to be a comeback army. Is, I guess, the way we're saying, is the way we approach this. It just, I don't know. We're gonna have to see. He does have a lot of personal healing. If he can wipe maybe one more army, if he can shut down this hybrid base, maybe. But Lings are going to run forward. Mutas, obviously, they don't want to take this fight. They're going to have to magic box really nicely against these Liberators that have +2 +2 armor. So and they're lasting a little bit longer. But Clem now, he doesn't have the supply lead anymore. And again, remember, a lot of that supply is in medevacs. That's not fighting units. That only keeps your units alive. And with the burst that's here, with everything else that is available, I think that finally Rogue has outlasted Clem. That's a wild thing to say. Rogue's 6 weeks back from military, and he's played a 30-minute macro game against arguably one of the best arguably the best TVZ player in the world. Some might say it's Mario, some might, after Dallas, some might say it's Oliveira, realistically. But Clem has always had at least his hat in the ring to make that claim, and certainly DreamHack Atlanta last year, he had that title head and shoulders above everyone else. So now the question is whether he can finish the fight, whether he can make this happen. He's Clem back against the ropes. His head's lolling. He's sagging against it. But the question, really the important question that we're taking a look at, is whether, well, is this Clem truly against the ropes, or is he rope open? And I think he's against the ropes here. This is a very hard game for Clem to win at this point. Rogue does have to be careful, because even as he's going to win on punches, the knockout blow is not there yet. Knockout blow is not there. Ghosts and Widow Mines in one bad fight can absolutely lose Rogue this game. Absolutely. One bad fight can swing Clem right back on into it. And the Liberators are just making life a little bit more annoying. One-shotting Lings, one-shotting Banes, just a little bit more damage into the fight. And making these small run-bys that much less impactful. So Clem has redeveloped his economy. He's got 3 bases where he can mine from. Now, he's not mining from them, but he has 3. Oh, nice shot there on the Widow Mine. Muta dies. So he's not mining fully from all of them. It's not how that works. There's not enough money at, say, the left side base or the center side base to properly fully mine. But he does have these bases. He can drop mules and extract a ton of money. Well, actually, yeah, okay, that's only short 1 mineral patch, so still pretty full. And of course, the one on the northeastern side is extremely full. 8 mineral patches there. So you got that going for you. You do have that one going for you. And somehow Clem's been able to stabilize. Well, granted, I was going to say Clem's been able to stabilize, but it's a lot of Rogue not wanting to throw a one game away. Honestly, I thought this game was going to end at about 31 minutes with Rogue taking advantage of those fights, taking the bases down, and just winning the game. But defensive Terran, a little bit too scary for Rogue. He says he'd rather go and reestablish some of his mining and redevelop his economy and redevelop that supply and maybe max out. And maybe max out. Then go for something else. And now Clem, natural, floating over to the hybrid base on the left side. If Clem secures this base, this game's going on much longer. So, is Clem gonna be able to hold on to this base? There's not a lot defending it right now. They're all on the high ground. Single Corruptor added in just to deal with these Liberators a little bit better. And now Ghost Snipes. So this is the other thing that we got to talk about. By giving Clem a lot of time, he's had pretty significant gas income, not a lot of minerals, and that leads itself to ghost counts, which are, not great against Ling Bane, but they are extremely, extremely good against a bunch of against mutas and things in the sky and things like that. So bunches of lings on the okay, here we go. Rogue trying to get that full surround. Tons of lings on the north side. Not a lot of widow mines there, doesn't look like. Full surround on top of everything. Clem is getting clobbered in this fight. And I said previously that I thought the game was over. Now I think the game is well and truly over. These ghosts are going to have to perform miracles that they are not equipped to perform. And yeah, there we go. Rogue, 35-minute epic. He wins game 2. He's up 2-0. So now we're into the third and maybe the final game of this series. I don't know. It's a best of 5. It's a grand finals, but Rogue has been looking so good. Rogue has actually been looking so freaking good in this series. He wins a 35-minute macro game against Clem on Amphion, which is not a great map for Zerg. So I'm very excited to see what's going to happen in this game. Again, Rogue's up 2-0. He's got a little room to play with. How does he decide to take down Clem? Does he take down Clem? Very important questions that we're going to have an answer to. And again, there is the caveat here. As good as Rogue looks and as awesome as that game goes, a lot of mistakes made by Clem. A lot of mistakes that we don't necessarily... A lot of fights that went for Rogue a lot better. That went a lot better for Rogue than we are used to seeing them go for realistically. And, that's fine. It's not super crazy, but it does kind of lend credence to this idea that Clem is a little sleep deprived, He's a little bit of a tired man. And still making the finals run, finding his way there over Nightmare, who's been looking really good. 2-0 Classic, 2-1 Lemon. That's a great run from Clem, even if he is sleep deprived. But I mean, Rogue's run as well, as we take a look at it. Take down Jaishi 2-0, who's very good Chinese Protoss player. Taking down Cyan 2-0, very good Chinese Protoss player. Taking down Solar, granted, Rogue has always had Solar's number, but taking down Solar 2-1, awesome. Taking down Skillus, really nice result. So Rogue's run's not easy to get here. Maybe slightly softer than Clem's because Clem took Classic and Solar had to take down Rogue. Or Rogue had to take down Solar, excuse me. So you do have that one going for you. But at the end of the day, life is still looking pretty good for Rogue fans right now. Letting credence to this idea that Rogue, according to Ortosis, is the GOAT. I don't know. I still think it's Cyril, but Rogue is showing some impressive gameplay 6 weeks back from military. Like, just 8 weeks, whatever it is. So recently back from the military. And it's kind of fun. We see these players come back, right? Bjorn wins the tournament within 18 months to come back from the military or so. It's the only tournament he's won since then, but he won that. It's like, great, wow. What an incredible comeback. And then we see Hero come back, and he wins a GSL about a year from his return. It's like, wow, this is the best. And then he wins DreamHack Atlanta that winter. It's like, okay, this is the best return for military we've seen. But it took each of them about a year and a half to fully get up to snuff. Rogue playing like this close, this soon after coming back from the military, it has by far has got to be the biggest, the best return to form that we've seen of anyone coming back from the military. So Rogue, defensive roaches on the way once again. A couple cyclones wandering onto the other side of the map from Clem is, well, the cyclones have had a lot of changes. They are a very different unit from when Rogue went off to military, but they're not as bad as they once were. So this double cyclone opening is going to look for an overlord, maybe. That'd be nice. Sniping down a queen, that'd be pretty fantastic. Ling speed's not going to be done for forever, actually. It's only just getting started right now. So it's all on these queens, all on these slow lings, as roaches are going to have to get made. And well, Rogue's not even making them because he's like, well, these are cyclones. That's not great. And queens are dying. So this rally of 4 cyclones across the map is causing Rogue absolute and utter conniptions. And the lings, though, they're going to get on top. Queens are still going down here. Transfuses are going to have to be good. But the high... Notice, of course, Clem's targeting down the high energy queen. And that does... Cyclone's dead. Okay, there we go. Good surround on the second one here. Lings continue to rally forward. But targeting down the high energy queens does mean, as I just about fell out of my chair, that's fine. It does mean it's a lot harder to get the transfuses, which means that Clem knocks 3 queens down. That's a lot of creep spread dead. That is a ton of transfuse or of injects that are maybe not available anymore. It does significantly slow down the Zerg's early game by quite a bit. But we talked about defensive roaches, safety roaches, something that Rogue was going for because that's what he played in game 1. And generally, when you get a bunch of roaches, that's what you're going for. Rogue's cut drones at 43. He's building lings, ravagers, roaches. He wants to end the series right now. No mid game, no late game, no 35-minute epic. No, this game's going to end right now. Big surround on top of everything immediately here. Not a lot that Clem can do. There are no ravagers part of this just now, but everything's dying anyways. It doesn't matter at all. Medivacs are going to try to boost up, save what they can, but there's not a lot to save anymore. And yes, bunkers are on the way, but Clem had no idea this was coming. He had no idea that this was on the way. So Biles should be able to shut down whatever they want. This wall is dead, and now the lings can come storming in, knocking out a couple more supply depots, just making sure that there is no choke the lings can get funneled through, just making sure that this is going to be the easiest attack Rogue's going to have today. So Biles on the bio going to force them back. Bunkers are not going to be allowed to get on up here. Ling's getting on top of the upgrades as well. There's no timing that's now available for Clem anymore. These upgrades will fall. So this is not even a survive for another 5 minutes and you're going to have what you need. No, the only thing you're looking for, well, is combat shields, and that is something. But this army from Rogue is indomitable right now. There's a tank on the high ground. Certainly that's something. But the Biles are going to knock that thing down post-haste. It got like 2 shots off. And Clem is dead. Rogue 3-0s him. Hot damn, what a series. Rogue looking so good.